Good morning, everyone. We are in Mishnayos Arla, Perek Beis, Chapter 2, Mishna Yud Gimel, Mishna 13. I'd like to dedicate this morning's learning in memory of my mother, Mrs. Shalamis Rabinowitz, Shalamis Bas Yaakov Eliezer. Kalim Shasachan B'Shemen Tamei. Utensils, but here it means things made out of leather, like leather shoes. Shasachan B'Shemen Tamei, that were rubbed with impure oil. V'chazar v'sachem b'shemen tahar, and then the person went after that and rubbed them with pure oil. Or shesachem b'shemen tahar, or the opposite case. So let's say he first rubbed them with pure oil. V'chazar v'sachem b'shemen tamei. Then after that he went and rubbed them with impure oil. Now, leather shoes, for instance, were often rubbed with oil to soften the leather. And at the same time, when using the shoes and applying pressure, it actually would have the oil that was absorbed would come out. Now, in this case, we have, let's say, take the first case. You went ahead, you took these shoes. Shoes are kalim, they're considered like utensils, susceptible to tuma, and you rub them with oil that was tummy. Now, the first thing that needs to be mentioned is the fact that oil is a liquid. A liquid that's tamei, according to Torah law, cannot make a vessel tamei. It can't make people tamei, it can't make vessels tamei, it can only make other food or drink tamei. But there is a rabbinic decree that liquids can make vessels impure. So therefore, the shemen tamei, this impure oil, that was first used to rub the leather, eventually was absorbed into the leather, but it first touched the leather on the outside, it made these shoes impure. Then what did you do? You went ahead and you took those shoes and you put them in a mikveh. By putting them into the mikveh, you made the shoes tahar, you made them pure. Then you went ahead and you needed to soften them up again, and you rubbed them with pure oil. Now, the issue is going to be in this Mishnah, the question this is going to be that when you now use this shoe has absorbed into it both tahar oil and tamei oil. When you use it, and because of that, you're going to squeeze out some of the absorbed oil. So which oil is coming out? Is it the pure oil coming out? Is it the impure oil coming out? If it's the pure oil coming out, then the pure oil that comes out isn't going to make the shoe tamei. While if it's the impure oil that comes out, it will make the shoe tamei again. Now, you may ask, well, this oil that was tamei, it was absorbed into the shoe, you put the shoe in the mikveh. So the same way that the shoe becomes purified from the mikveh, shouldn't the oil absorbed inside also become purified from the mikveh? And the answer is no, because the only thing that a mikveh can work to purify is a person or utensils. Doesn't help to purify a food or liquid becomes impure. Putting it into a mikveh is not going to help you. So therefore, the liquid that's inside, that's the tamei liquid that's absorbed inside of the shoes, by going into the mikveh did not become purified. At the same time, okay, so that means that inside the shoe, you've got oil that's impure. Why doesn't that automatically make the shoe tamei? Isn't that considered a contact with the shoe to make it tamei? The answer is that the absorbed oil is what's called tuma belua, swallowed up impurity. A source of impurity that's blue, that's completely absorbed, completely swallowed up in something, completely absorbed into something, doesn't have the power to make something else tamei. So therefore, the only way this oil is going to make the shoes tamei again is if we can say that the oil that's tamei is what's coming out. So in both the cases, the Mishnah lays out, which is, first case was you first rubbed it with, the impure oil was absorbed, and then the pure oil was absorbed. Or the other case is the pure oil was first absorbed, and then the tamei oil was absorbed. And then in the case where the tamei oil was the second one used, you went and you toivel those shoes again. You put those shoes in the mikveh, so the shoes are tar. So now the question is, which oil is going to be coming out, and do we say that the shoes become tummy again? So the Mishnah says, Rebbe Lezer says, Achar Harishan Aniba. I follow the first one. If the first one was the tummy oil, that's what's coming out now. And if the first one was the tar oil, that's what's coming out now. The Chachamim say, Achar Achrin. No, we follow the second one. So if the second one was the impure oil, the oil that comes out now, where we say is the impure oil, the shoes become impure again. If the second one was the pure oil, then it's the pure oil that comes out, and the shoes don't become tummy again. So how do we understand this argument? So I'll read to you here from the notes in the art scroll, and they explain like this. That is, when the second oil is absorbed, it penetrates more deeply and pushes the first oil closer to the surface. That is what Rebbe Lezer says. The second oil penetrates deeply into the shoe, and it pushes the first oil to the surface. Thus, when the leather is squeezed and some oil comes out, it is the first oil that comes out. That's what Rebbe Lezer holds. And the Chachamim who disagree, they say, according to the sages, the oil that was absorbed first caused the leather to become largely saturated and thus unable to hold much more oil. The second oil, therefore, remains close to the surface and is the one that gets pushed out. The first oil kind of takes up a lot of space. It doesn't allow the oil to penetrate. It keeps the oil to the front. And therefore, when you now apply pressure and the oil gets squeezed out, it's going to be the second oil that comes out. The halacha follows the chachamim that we follow the second one and not the first one. Okay, we are now in the laws of Rechilas from the Chavetz Chaim, Klal Hey, chapter 5, and we're now on Sif Dal, paragraph 4. V'da'id, and you should know, the Chalaklom shekastamnu la'el b'chelak aleph b'klal vav, etzel kabbalah Lashon Harah le'inyan lachush. Whatever we said before regarding the prohibition of accepting Lashon Harah, but at the same time being able to keep it in mind, keep it in consideration, so that you can protect yourself. All the same thing applies when we say that you can take into consideration the rechilas that you heard to protect yourself. Therefore, one has to be very careful. If you hear that someone said something about you, or did something to you, or he wants to do something, number one, you may not believe it. It has to be, maybe, perhaps, it's a chashash, it's a suspicion, it's a consideration. I cannot believe it as a fact, but I have to take into account the possibility. All you can do is guard yourself from it. It shouldn't even be a doubt. Because we keep a person, if a person's status is kashrus, meaning that he acts appropriately, just because now you heard he didn't act appropriately doesn't take him out of that established status. And we have a rule that we follow chazaka. We follow the established status. The status that has been until now doesn't change just because you heard a little bit of news. Okay. And therefore you really have to assume that he didn't do anything bad to you. So you really have to not even have a doubt. It has to be sort of maybe, it's not even a real maybe. It's not real doubt. It's he probably didn't do it. I don't believe he did it. Just in case, I have to do something to protect myself. That's not easy to do. And therefore, if this is how far it goes about what you've heard and even protecting yourself from, you're not allowed to do any act to him, or to cause him any kind. You cannot cause him damage. You can't damage him. You can't embarrass him. You can't cause embarrassment. not in a large amount, not in a small amount. Even to dislike the person in your heart is forbidden from the Torah. And all the more so not to exempt oneself based on the rechilas that he heard, and what he is obligated, what he's responsible to do for a fellow Jew who has been accused, so to speak, of speaking rechilas against you. And all the benefits that we have to provide for a fellow Jew, he's still there. Because actually his worth or his worthiness has not in any way become decreased because of what somebody told you. As the halachic authorities write, the whole permissibility of taking into consideration is only as far as to guard yourself from possible damage. But regarding anything else, regarding how you act towards him, what you do to him, what you feel about him, it does that. Then in that sense, the consideration is irrelevant. The consideration cannot be consideration that says you dislike him. The consideration could only be as much as saying, imagine you had someone that was very close to you, and you can't believe that they want to hurt you, but you'd be foolish not to take a chance if you're hurt otherwise. It's just practical. It just makes sense to protect yourself just in case it's right. But the attitude has to be that I really don't believe it, but just in case it could be that way, I'm going to protect myself. And I'll do whatever I can for him, and I'll treat him the way I should, and I'll even love him like a fellow Jew. But, it's just a wise thing that in case it's possible that this is what the person's doing, that I got to protect myself. That is how, those are the parameters of when we say that you cannot believe Lashon Hara rechilas, but you can take into consideration to protect yourself. Have a wonderful day.